Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 294, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And we have another wonderful show here. I wanted to continue our discussion on manga and anime of years past that we kind of want to return to or want to talk about. We talked a good deal about like Devilman last time, and I a few others, but I didn't even like talk about like some of the stuff that was like really influential on me, like back when I was in high school. I kind of want to like get back to, or even just read the original manga, or maybe even watch like a more updated translation, because back then we kind of just were stuck with what we had.
Yeah, back in high school, it was like whatever anime DVDs my friends wanted to show me, or what was on Toonami and possibly Adult Swim, which tended to be good, but it wasn't the biggest range.
Well, I actually started back on VHS, back in the early days. Me and my brother really got into watching the Frieza saga together.
Good stuff.
Dragon Ball Z. But like finding the right tapes and was nearly impossible, and they were so expensive. I think it was like $40 a tape.
Yeah, for like 2 or 3 episodes per.
Yeah, it's ridiculous what we used to put up with.
Like I didn't have anything nearly as daunting as Dragon Ball Z as in terms of like anime I owned, but I did have Slayers, which was 8 tapes.
Yeah,
that was 26 episodes.
That's a lot, and you had to find them. Like, or you didn't buy them like all together, and if you did, man, you must have been rich.
Well, for my bar mitzvah, I was actually gifted 1 through 4 in their own little box set, but I picked up the other 4 individually when I saw them.
Yeah, I've always wanted to watch Slayers because that's like one of those like from that era.
It's great. Yeah. I've since gotten them on DVD. I actually have a DVD set of the first 3 seasons: Slayers Next, and Slayers Try. And I got on Blu-ray Slayers... Oh no, what was the follow-up called? Like Evolution, maybe? But it's a fun one. It's got that sort of Dungeons and Dragons aesthetic. It's just like Western-style adventurers, like starring a sorceress with like the secondary protagonist being a talented swordsman. It's great stuff, and it's quirky and fun.
I was thinking about Bubblegum Crisis. You ever watch that?
I know of it, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, that was always really interesting because it was just like these girls that get in kind of like super suits and fight robots that have gone nuts. I always found that really interesting, and there's definitely some disturbing like really detailed animation in that show. It was for some reason I really loved it. Like the original Ghost in the Shell manga OVA.
Movie.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Did you ever see Ninja Scroll?
Yeah, I was just gonna say Ninja Scroll was another one.
That was a movie that drove me crazy because a friend showed it to me when I was like in middle school, like at his house. But like I think my dad had to pick me up partway through. So it took me years before I finished it.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of those, like, it's very adult, too, so, like...
Well, that was the thing.
Yeah,
it was cool
you probably
to watch...
didn't have access to it.
Yeah, it was cool to watch when you were 13 or 14, because it's like, there's no way my parents would let me see this.
Yeah. It's definitely, like, very violent and also has a fair amount of nudity in it.
But like
it's pretty crazy.
The violence is the first thing you notice. It's very upfront about just how brutal it's gonna be. Like that was a thing with 90s stuff. Like not everything you'd watch, but like
a lot of the OVAs that we had access to.
There was a lot of ultra violent stuff. Not to mention that a lot of that stuff was kind of cheap because they were like one-off weird things. So like companies like ADV would localize them because they were easy to localize. Well, not easy, but they were cheap to localize. So there'd be a bunch of this like...
Yeah, because they weren't gigantic like franchise things.
Exactly. So that there would be like just a slew. It's like, was all anime like this back then? Just like the super ultra violent like movies and stuff like that.
They were made by like, you know, a very dedicated team of probably like otaku that that graduated
but like when that's
to
all
making
you see
an
on
anime.
shelves, you're like, this is just the era of that stuff in anime. But like that stuff still continues today. But that's like a lot of what we saw like at the video store back then. It's like, can you do this?
Yeah, exactly. That's
Even
why
Evangelion got nasty as hell.
Yeah, well, even Dragon Ball Z has like dismemberment in it and stuff in it. Eventually,
I can count exactly one show ever, which is Dragon Ball Z, where I've seen an arm get punched off. Who the fuck does that?
Was that Piccolo's arm?
No, that was Nappa punching Tien's arm off.
Oh, Tien.
He doesn't cut it off or blast it off. He punches it off.
Straight off.
That's fucking insane.
That reminds me of like Kung Pao Under the Fist, where he's just like, he punched a plug of that dude's stomach out. Like, it just came out in one clean chunk.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that, but like not as a joke. Like, can you what? And it's like a clean cut too. It looks like he cut it off, but he just didn't.
One thing I wanted to talk about was Trigun. I really love Trigun back in the day.
I never did finish that show, but I did see the last episode.
See, I never finished it either. I kind of I really loved watching it, and then like I kept getting interrupted, so I really do want to rewatch it. I have the original manga, but the original manga is very hard to follow. It's very odd.
But by the way, one thing I should point out is I gotta see it. Yeah, I forgot to mention this on Reactive Consciousness, but while we're on the subject, Kirk Bailey, the voice actor for Knives, you know, the final boss of the Trigun anime. The manga I think keeps going, but the final boss of the Trigun anime, who was also a character, I think he was like the camp counselor in like Salute Your Shorts.
Oh, really?
That guy was fucking Knives, Millions Knives. Who would have fucking get? But that guy, yeah, he passed away recently, which is unfortunate. He was like, in his 50s, like I think 57.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, that like Trigun, he was like such a dweeb in Salute Your Shorts. I love seeing stuff like that, or like Elijah Wood becoming like.
Oh, the guy in Sin City?
Yeah, like, what? He didn't even speak, and that's all he needed.
Oh, he's fucking... He's still, to me, the most diabolical, like, villain in that entire
And by the way, if you want to ever see a live-action Hellsing, which, there's a classic anime, but if you ever want to see a live-action Hellsing, Sin City, they really nailed the jet black silhouette but glowing glasses vibe.
Oh yeah,
because Hellsing pushes that so damn hard, and Elijah Wood was like the live action version of that. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, no, he's a fucking creep in that.
Kevin, I don't even know if you get his last name.
No, his name is just Kevin. Yeah. No, and he has like a Charlie Brown looking sweater.
Yeah.
And he just fucking is a fucking creep.
Yeah.
Like he
took down Big Marv. Nobody does that.
Yeah. Well, they had to shock him twice at the electric chair.
And Kevin took him down. It's fucking ridiculous.
But what they do to Kevin, not so nice.
Yeah, they get their revenge, and he still doesn't speak.
Yep. Nope. But yeah, no, that Sin City's really great. I keep like a lot of people don't talk about it these days, but
I mean, it's been like 20 years.
Yeah, but you would think that people would bring it up more.
To be fair, you'd think they'd bring up, like, they did make a sequel a while later.
And the sequel got almost entirely ignored, and it's unfair. That sequel's actually really good. It's really a shame what happened there. And the original comic it's based off of is really awesome. In fact, it's both movies are very accurate to the comics, which is really great. I mean, they add a new vignette to the sequel, and I actually really loved that.
Nice.
So I thought that was really cool. But
going back to the aesthetic, did you ever watch Hellsing, like the TV series?
No. I've always wanted to, and you've shown me some of the Hellsing Ultimate stuff.
Yes. I was going to mention that because the TV series was great, but it went off the rails after a point because the manga wasn't done. Like, the manga finished when I was in college, and the TV series came out when I was in high school. So they all of a sudden there's a new bad guy and everyone was like, "Who's this guy?" And he's called Incognito, and even Alucard makes fun of that. He's like, "Are you kidding me?" And it's just a weird way to end the series, and like, I don't know how conclusive it feels. But to be fair to the TV series, they didn't want to go into Nazi vampires because that's like the primary plot of Ultimate. And Ultimate took the series through to the end with very slight alterations to certain timings, maybe to make it seem a little more cohesive. But Ultimate Hellsing is fantastic, and it's very, like, it's not 100% like shot for shot, but it's like it's very manga accurate. And you get to hear Norio Wakamoto screaming as Alexander Anderson, and Norio Wakamoto screaming is the coolest shit ever. You probably heard his name before. Do you know who Norio Wakamoto is?
I forget.
You've heard him around, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've heard the name.
He's been around, but I think he really got famous by being on Dragon Ball Z. He was the Japanese voice of Cell.
Oh, cool.
And what's interesting about the Japanese interpretation of it versus the Western interpretation is, did you ever play the video games like Budokai?
No, I really wasn't in those.
Alright, because a weird thing about Cell is that, you know how Form 1 has like the raspy voice, and Form 2 gets a little different than Form 3, like, "I am perfect Cell," like, you know, he changes it up. But if you play the video game, even in Form 3, he has the raspy voice until you do like a cinematic attack where he's like, "No, I will take you down." Like, so, like, they didn't change the voice, but in Japanese, the reason is because there was only one voice slot. In the Japanese version, he has the Norio Wakamoto voice for all three forms. It never changes.
Oh, wow.
It's like in One Piece. Do you know who Chopper is in One Piece?
No.
Chopper's a little reindeer guy.
Oh, no.
His whole gimmick, he's this little cute, like, up-to-your-knee reindeer guy who, like, walks around with little, like, bloop, bloop, bloop sounds whenever he walks on the ground. But he ate the human fruit. Like, some humans might find animal fruits and give them animal characteristics. Chopper's just a reindeer, and he ate the human fruit. So, like, he can get into, like, a big, burly, like, strong guy form. And I don't know what Funimation did with this. I didn't see any of the episodes. But 4Kids gave him a deeper voice when he got big. But he still has the cutesy voice in the Japanese version, and he just
that's very. I would expect that from Japan.
It's
honestly.
great. But yes, but Norio Wakamoto was Japanese Cell, and I don't know if you've heard his voice. Well, you probably have, but I don't know if you can think of it in your head. But you have got to see him casting Kamehameha. Holy shit! It's so good. He's terrifying.
Nice.
And then he's Alexander Anderson in Hellsing, who's the mad Judas priest, who's like probably Alucard's biggest threat. Like, there's the whole Nazi thing that's threatening to conquer the world, but, like, who might have a chance of taking down Alucard? Probably this guy. He's nuts. It's great.
I was also going to talk about Akira. So
that's another thing I saw partway through, and I never did see the end. Although I know what happens. I know the big blob thing. I know the South Park parody, but, like, I only ever saw up to, like, what may or may not have been a dream sequence with, like, the giant teddy bear attacking somebody, and it's like the scariest, trippiest shit ever, and then it steps on a piece of broken glass or whatever, and cuts his foot, and he's like, "Oh no, I can't stand the sight of blood," and disappears, and the person who was about to get killed is, like, shitting themselves, and that's when I got picked up by my parents. I was like, "No, where does this go?"
So, that movie has legendary status, and for good reason. It probably is the best bit of hand animation and like totally hand animated
of its time,
and created of its time. Yeah, the only other thing that might rival it is Redline. But Redline was digitally colored, so
they busted their ass for Akira. Although one thing I should mention, you probably are picturing it. You know that shot where he's driving away the motorcycle and then suddenly goes full horizontal to stop it?
Yeah.
Like the skid into a stop? So many other things, including a lot of Western shows, have I like Batman did it. I forgot if it was
Mask of the Phantasm.
It was Phantasm.
Yeah.
I think, like, Adventure Time might have alluded to it. Like a lot of Western stuff. Like because that's a cool shot. It's like what you were mentioning about the Castle of Cagliostro on Reactive. There's a particular shot where a car is like making a very sharp turn, swinging around a bend.
Yeah.
On a road.
On a cliff. Yeah.
Yeah, where like all the shit they're carrying on top of the car is like whoa, and like other anime have done a take on that.
Yeah.
It's like a really good shot.
It's just a really famous iconic scene, and there's also the like the famous like Kaneda walking to the bike
that's like the cover of the video where it looks like fucking Quadrophenia, where he's just walking toward the bike.
Yeah, the No More Heroes apes off of that as well.
Yes.
So I mean, like, Akira is extremely influential in terms of its aesthetics. It's kind of a shame if you watch the movie. The movie is worth absolutely watching, and it's wonderful. However, it does end abruptly. And
it's disorienting because it's missing chapters from the manga.
Yeah, it ends very abruptly, and the manga has a total and complete story.
Because there's a lot of stuff about the movie, like the blue people who look like children except they're old, and you're like, who are they? What are they doing? Like, it's interesting as part of the story, I guess, but I don't know what it is. But like, yeah, read the manga and you'll get more of what's going on.
Yeah, not only that, but you get an explanation. Akira's barely talked about or in the actual movie.
I was gonna say, like, again, I have not actually seen the whole movie, but I remember hearing the name Akira once from what I did see, and I was like, I don't know what that is. Like, it's like in Dark Souls, they actually talk about the Dark Soul, like in the DLC of Dark Souls 3, and I'm like, there's actually a Dark Soul.
So, Akira is like the child who. He's basically the first child who. He's one of the children that have the mind powers in it, and he goes out of control and blows up a city, blows up Tokyo, and along with himself, and that is the culmination of the beginning of like the history of the manga series, and so everything comes after that, and essentially he's heralded as like the most powerful of all of the children who have the psychic powers, and there's a lot of really interesting stuff that goes on, but he's resurrected in the manga, and he kind of is only alluded to in the movie. Like, they talk about him.
That was the thing, yeah. Like, you don't know about Akira. It just felt weird to me.
Yeah, so, like, it was very clear that when they made the movie that he hadn't completed the manga yet. So he kind of did the first 2 volumes and then came up with an ending. And...
Well, it's kind of like the Scott Pilgrim movie.
No, Scott Pilgrim movie was actually...
I mean, you could tell what was happening in the Scott Pilgrim movie. It's just they had to come up with an ending.
Well, no. What happened with that one is they actually collaborated on the ending together.
Okay.
So that was different. Because they only had one more volume to go of the Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, that's true, too. That's another big thing.
Comic before it ended. So it ended. They released the final volume right around the time that the movie came out. But he definitely had talked to them about like what he was going to do, what his plan was for the final volume. So they ended up actually shooting 2 different endings because of that. But eventually he decided on the one that we got. Is much more aligned with what he did in the comic. So the comic and the movie line up. But there is a lot like missing there, but for the most part it's good. Like that adaptation is fantastic.
Yeah, and and it's impactful. Also, what a different soundtrack.
Oh, it's amazing.
That's in your head. Once you hear it, it's in your head forever.
It was made by Beck, of all people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, the Gorillas guy, incredible.
No.
Yeah, you know the new video
Valley of the Pagans.
In Sound Machine where it's just Grand Theft Auto 5 footage that had to be like removed from YouTube.
What a debacle.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, what else did I want to bring up? I mean, I've always really kind of wanted to read the original Sailor Moon manga. I know it sounds kind of funny.
It's very different from the 90s show, but apparently
Exactly.
the 2010s like Sailor Moon Crystal, apparently that was more manga accurate.
Yeah, because like there's like a lot of like episodes that don't correlate with the the manga, because like
No,
a lot of
that's
it was
true,
just Monster
but
of the Weeks kind of stuff. Yeah.
well, no, it was, but like it was also like significant and impactful for the time. Like this is one of those cases where I think it's like Full Metal Alchemist, where the anime just did its own thing, and then
Yeah.
Brotherhood was the manga, but both series are good. Like I think the new Sailor Moon anime had a rough start because of like just animation issues,
Quality,
because it was
yeah.
a different. But I think it picked up, so I think both series are like good. It's just that the 90s one is like
More
iconic
iconic,
because that's
yeah.
what was on TV.
Well, the big problem with that one is that it's very heavily censored.
It
Like
is,
unless
but
you
you
get a
can-
more recent version of it.
Yeah, I was gonna
yeah.
say you can get the uncensored version now,
Yeah.
but like watching it on TV as a child, yeah, you're missing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that we also like got it. We didn't have the option to watch it. Subbed or anything like that too. So
Yeah, and like
that was one of those things for
I
me.
know if you grew up with it, like you have like a nostalgia for it, but like I find a bunch of the voice acting to just be like shrill. It just drives me crazy.
Yeah. Well, those are the major ones that I wanted to bring up, Lotus. One more. I wanted to talk about Kenchikan. Have you ever heard
No,
about Kenchikan?
I've never touched that one.
So Genshiken's a really cool kind of school-based manga that I think there's an anime that goes along with it, but it's basically it revolves around like otaku that are part of the audiovisual club, the AV club in this one Japanese high school. And it's not like the AV club where it's cameras and stuff like that. It's more like they have like an entire library of like manga and anime that they all like watch and like take part in and have meetings about. It's really pretty cool because it also goes into all the different intricacies of different types of otakudom, like cosplay, and it also gets into like making their own comic or making their own manga, and which is also like one of the storylines. It's a very cute and also really cool manga. I really liked it for the time. I know there's an argument about this, but I think that in certain places it makes sense. So this was the first manga that I read with that was translated but retained honorifics.
Oh, okay.
So the characters do call each other Chan and San,
Kun. Yeah, it does
and
hit a
Kun.
little bit different when they don't, because like you don't have to be like a hardcore Japanese nerd to like eventually pick up on the significance of those, like so you could tell like the different relations between the characters based on the honorifics they use.
Yeah, so it gives you a quick guide before every volume to tell you what the difference and significance of
Cool.
a character calling somebody by a specific honorific, because there are some impactful moments where like the characters won't include an honorific, and that's like that's supposed to be for an a very intimate moment with a person. That's supposed to be only used if you're very very close or
And
having
they
a
actually
special
had-
moment.
And they actually had the reverse of that in an episode of One Piece, where a character was referring to another character by his name without any honorifics, but like they were enemies at that point, and the guy was like, "You're supposed to call me like my name, San," and starts like attacking him, and like if you like left out honorifics in that translation, that bit would have been really weird.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like from back in the 70s, Mr. Tibbs. You know, like the people kept calling him Tibbs, and he's like, no, I'm Mr. Tibbs. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Because like Mr. is like, there's a certain degree of respect with it. It's like
sure.
not. It's kind of almost an honorific.
Exactly. It's not exactly the same thing, but it's the closest thing equivalent
as good
we
as you're
have.
gonna get. Yeah.
Exactly, but they make the argument that yes, we understand that it's not entire like localization to to include honorifics, but they thought it was particularly important for that particular manga.
That's the thing. Like, ironically. Yeah. The quote unquote lack of localization is actually like doing more of a service than if because otherwise they're removing information. Like, what is the point of localization? To get people to understand what's going on. Like, correct. So that makes sense.
Yeah, so I agree with it from that perspective, especially when it has something to do with the story and how the characters interact with each other, and I think that's important, but. That's pretty much. I covered the ones that I wanted to cover. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, if we want to go to stuff we watched as kids or whatever, I guess I could bring up, I don't know, like Toonami or Adult Swim. You ever watch The Big O?
Oh yeah, I loved it. I never watched the full thing, but I particularly really liked it.
Yeah, that was something I actually did watch the full thing for. It's one of those things, I don't know how well it would hold up if I watched it now. Like, a lot of that show was carried by how fucking awesome The Big O was, and the score, the music to that show is spectacular. But it's almost like, you know how there was that live action Japanese Spider-Man show like Subaida-man where he had the mech?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
The Big O is that, except it's Batman. What if Batman summoned a mech instead? Like, because Roger Smith's car is just the Adam West Batmobile. Like the black and the red highlights, it looks really cool. Or the red.
Apparently, it was produced by some of the Batman the Animated Series people.
Fair enough. Yeah. And not only that, but I don't think the show really took off in Japan. Like, the West got them to make a second season, which is insane. So like Big O has a more proper conclusion, because season 1, it's an ending, but like these 3 big monsters show up and it's like, ho, so that's how it's gonna be, and then that's how it ends. But like season 2 had like an ending. A lot of people weren't necessarily satisfied with that ending. It was weird, but it was more of an ending than like Time to Fight. But it went in some very interesting directions and introduced some very cool new characters.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to rewatching that, because I do own it. It's just one of those things I've never gotten all the way through. But yeah, it's definitely my style for sure.
Also, you ever watch Rurouni Kenshin?
You know what? The only thing that I did watch was the original OVAs, the Samurai X stuff.
Yeah, I've actually never seen those, and apparently they're very good.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, the mangaka is a piece of garbage.
Yes.
Straight up garbage.
But before having known that, Rurouni Kenshin is more of like a kid friendly version. Like, Samurai X is brutal.
No, it's very violent.
Yeah, like, I mean, there's
definitely that kind of makes the show a little bit sweeter, actually, because
that's the thing, because the show definitely has people getting killed by swords, although a little less obviously on the Toonami block. There was definitely some censorship going on, but you could tell what was happening for the most part, and it's just super interesting. Like Kenshin is iconic enough that Baiken from Guilty Gear is Kenshin.
Yeah.
Except she's actually a woman. Kenshin, I believe, was voiced by a woman. But he kind of has like pretty boy like characteristics. So Baiken's just straight up a woman. Got it, done. But Kenshin's whole thing is that he used to be like this just demon on the battlefield back in the day, and now that wartime is over, he wants to like repent for all the horrible killing he's done by using his sword for good. So he has like a reverse blade katana. So like the side he would normally strike with is blunt, and the other side, I guess, is sharp. So like he just like cracks people with a hard piece of metal, and that's more than enough to bring him down. He just won't cut him in half anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to see him go on his journey and make friends along the way.
For sure. Well, I think we covered some good ones here. How about we move on to some fan stuff, Lotus?
Why, sure. So, commentary-wise, School Filmer says, I managed to beat Ultra Greedier as the Lost, which is fucking crazy. Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's thanks to Gnawed Leaf and Seven Seals. I actually forgot what Seven Seals did. Some demon power-up, obviously. Gnawed Leaf, though, is if you stand still for maybe a second, then you become stone. Like, you can't attack. Like, if you move, you break it. But while you are stone, you are utterly untouchable. So
that's really good.
good to get a breather. Yeah, that is a very rare power up. Like, if you get it and you die, like, I'll reset it until I get it again. Like, it's gonna be forever. So while I was at it, I got all of the pre-repentance hard mode marks as Azazel and Lilith. Very impressive. Especially with Lilith, you have to really work your way up with Lilith. Azazel I have an easier time with. He's very strong, although he has short range, but he could fly. Like, he's good stuff. Living Corpse says, you know what else is magnetic besides metal? Plasma.
I didn't know that.
I'm saying that in a few decades we might finally get our phased plasma rifles, and hopefully something higher than 40 watts. Arc Flash Leb says, after gunpowder, I say the before energy weapons. In fact, there are several experimental plasma railguns like the U.S. Air Force's Marauder, and Arc Flash Labs has experimented with railguns, not just coil guns. Another type of electromagnetic gun is a helical railgun, which is a hybrid of railgun and coil, in which the barrel coils around the magnets instead. Sounds crazy, but guns with curved barrels were made before in the World Wars to shoot around corners? What the fuck? As long as the turn isn't too sharp, the bullet will follow the curve. It's like almost like a non-exaggerated version of like Wanted. That's insane.
Whip that bullet.
Yeah, like they're just good at it. And then Living Corpse also says, to answer the Burly Brawl question, where have you seen Burly Brawls? I guess in one of the DBZ Cooler movies where there's an army of mecha coolers. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Cooler.
There's just 1,000 coolers. Yeah, Freezer, Cooler, and King Cold, baby. Old King Cole died before he got fucking anywhere. Do you remember that? When
yeah,
Frieza's
like
dad shows up.
Yeah, and
then Trunks just fucking
Trunks murders everybody. Yeah.
I love Frieza comes back as robot form. Like, now I've been mechanized. Just fucking dies.
He cuts him to itty bitty pieces and then blows it all away.
Fucking done. And then Dracologist says, Burly Brawls? Well, while not extreme, almost every Bud Spencer and Terrence Hill movie ends with a massive punch-out. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the movies, but I have seen clips, and yeah, it gets pretty wild. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's very Three Stooges-esque.
Yeah, but it gets crazy. And then questions from Fakafon. Has there ever been an unexpected part of a video game that has altered the way you play it, mechanically or otherwise? For example, in Phantasy Star Online, I started making all of my characters as short as possible, since your speed, range, and power is unaffected by this change. However, it's easier to see what's going on, as opposed to having a bulky character that takes a quarter of the screen. Huh. That's clever. Or in Mario Sunshine, when I discovered that having the alternate costume, yeah, when you beat the game, you get the sunglasses, but it actually makes the screen less bright, because you have sunglasses. So it's like, oh, I'm going for that costume then. So, anything like that you can think of? Because, like, I can think of when new gameplay mechanics were introduced, like at the end of Uncharted 1 and 4.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how I choose to play the game, that's just how the game is played at that point, but that was an interesting little twist.
I was gonna, before I knew what he was talking about, I was gonna say, like, Stranger's Wrath, Oddworld Stranger's Wrath has a very, poignant, like, gameplay change, halfway through it. Like, all of a sudden, it's a completely different game.
Oh, I like stuff like that.
Yeah, all of a sudden, and it's wonderful. It's one of the best, like, video game things I've ever experienced, to be honest. But yeah, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, like it's not unexpected because it's right in the tutorial, but like timed hits in Super Mario RPG, it's just like, why would you ever not do this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it different characters that play differently as well can really alter it. Like, there's Brawny in Contra Hardcore. That, like, has a jetpack and is really small and hard to hit.
Okay. Or like Knuckles in Sonic 2 when you realize you can do that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, I'll just climb. Or like Tails in Sonic 3. I'll just skip the level. Fuck it.
Yeah. In Gunstar Heroes, once you get really good at the game, you start using your you don't use your gun nearly as much.
Oh yeah, you punch or throw. I think throwing
punching and throwing is like super effective. And kicking.
Like it's a high risk, high reward because like you can get hit, but yeah, melee is brutal.
The kicking in particular and sliding.
Or how about oh no, I lost. Oh, Resident Evil 4. You know the Krauser fight.
Oh yeah.
Did you know he's weak to the knife?
Oh no, I didn't.
Because his whole thing is knife fighting. So like the knife wrecks him. Like it's way better than any other weapon. I don't mean because the knife is so good. I mean because Krauser is very susceptible to the knife.
That's insane.
Resident Evil Code Veronica. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but the knife seems to hit like by the frame.
Oh wow!
So people do like knife only runs of Resident Evil 1 as like challenge mode, but like
sure.
I was playing Resident Evil Code Veronica with a knife. Code Veronica is like the hardest of the old Resident Evil games in my opinion.
Sure.
But the knife is fucking ridiculous. Like you hit a zombie and it's like they go down so fast. I mean, you still have to be careful, but like the knife does stupid damage.
Another good example of this is Halo. It took me a little bit to think of this. The pistol is unexpectedly the best weapon in the game.
That reminds me, but go ahead.
Yeah, because typically a pistol is like only what you're stuck with when you run out of everying else.
It's the default weapon. It's therefore terrible.
Yeah, but like there are some games that do have ways of getting around that. Like Doom 2016, you can upgrade the pistol to be like a lot better.
Like Doom 2016 has a best weapon, but every weapon is viable.
Yeah, exactly, including the pistol. But so it's not like in like Wolfenstein where it's just a peace shooter at the end of the day.
Well, especially Wolfenstein, like the old one, because like
exactly
every gun uses the same ammo. So like the machine gun is the pistol but faster. Why would you not use that?
Exactly. So but in Halo, the pistol is extremely accurate.
Really?
Like it will hit whatever you aim at it. Like they forgot to like put some kind of like algorithm on it so that it like kind of shot around at a certain at a certain distance. It probably should have less accuracy, right? Because it's a pistol.
Yeah, eventually, yeah.
But it is like if you, it also has a scope. Really oddly, it has a 2 magnification scope.
And in Deus Ex, you can get a scope augment for a pistol. Like by the end of Deus Ex, my pistol and my sniper rifle were the scariest shit you ever saw.
But yeah, like the assault rifle is extremely inaccurate. So it's not good for you have to unload an entire clip in order to kill somebody in Halo because you have to get through their shield first. So in this, you can shoot somebody 3 times in the head with a pistol. One will get rid of their 2 will get rid of their shield, and one will kill them. One more will kill them. So if you're doing headshots with a pistol, you're good with it, you can take somebody out like across the map as long as you aim well.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I mean the sniper rifle can kill you in like 1 or 2 hits.
But it fires very slowly.
But it fires slower. The pistol is actually like pretty rapid fire. You could fire off 3 shots and dot like that.
Yeah.
It ends up being the best weapon in the game as a result. It's really funny, and they did not intend that. They did because like. Obviously, you're supposed to like shoot rockets and stuff in the game and do stuff like that. But what's really upsetting is the assault rifle. It ends up being like pretty terrible. like in terms of the rankings, which is a shame because it should be viable. Like an assault rifle should be is really the cornerstone of most first-person shooter games. Like an assault rifle, it should be the de facto thing you use in most games, and it just isn't. It's too inaccurate, and only good at like mid to close range.
Well, whereas you've reminded me of something. Resident Evil 4 again. So you can upgrade your weapons in that game, and you know how when you get when you max everything, there's one more like final upgrade you can get that's unique to that particular weapon.
Yeah.
Do you remember this? So you know how like the Striker shotgun, its gimmick is that it now has a capacity of 100 shells, so it's like forever before you need to reload. Like, that's kind of cool. But if you ever kept the base shotgun, its damage is multiplied by a high amount. But there's also the pistols. There's your basic pistol, the Killer 7, the red something, and the black something. Like Blacktail and Red 9 or something like that. It's been a little while. And the Punisher, there's like 5 pistols. But like, it usually comes down to, do I choose the red gun or the black gun? Punisher's pretty cool. Its big upgrade is penetration. I guess there's 4 pistols. So, like, do I want the red gun or the black gun? Because penetration is cool, but I want stats. But what a lot of people don't realize is the base pistol's final upgrade greatly increases its chance of getting a decapitation with a headshot, which can potentially be dangerous for the Plagas when they appear. But you're just taking out guys in 1 or 2 shots with, like, the base pistol by that point. Like, the stats aren't spectacular, but the headshot rate is. So it's a surprisingly viable weapon all of a sudden.
Wonderful. Well, those are the ones that I wanted to talk about. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of other things that are just weird that you wouldn't expect, or like subtle attributes of certain weapons, or costumes like the Mario shades or whatever. I'm having trouble thinking of stuff that has like secret practical effects, so that this might be what I have for now.
Okay, well, we will, I think that we will end things here then. That is the show for this week. We want to thank all of our fans who contributed questions. Please keep us supplied with awesome topics by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. Helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesdays on our sister podcast, Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth look at this week in our lives. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much anything.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in an exclusive live stream, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/Lotus Prince.
Wonderful. Well, we will catch everybody next time then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.